And we are back. Welcome to another episode of the Elephant in the Room podcast. I'll be the guy, Anthony Likes. I'm with Finn Fenderson and Dre Davis. Another week, another win, 24-hour rule. We on to a new week, but we will recap what we saw yesterday. Alabama Crimson Tide, 5th straight win, 3rd straight SEC win, 3rd ranked opponent taken down, ended 2 streaks in the midst of this, ending Georgia's 33-game home win streak, and as well as Missouri's 15 home game win streak. What we thinking about yesterday's game? All right, Finn said he didn't want to go, so we're gonna start off with you this time, Dre.
I mean, it's just another, adversity full game. That's what I talked about going back to the Georgia game. You had no resistance against ULM. You had an 11 o'clock start against Wisconsin, which isn't real adversity. It's just the adversity of playing a game at a different time. You go on the road, you play a very adverse game against one of the best teams in the country in Georgia. You come out with that win, cool. You already got your momentum off ULM and Wisconsin, but that momentum push that you get from the Georgia game builds into the Vanderbilt week. And the Vanderbilt week and the win, again, the adversity that we went through was different from the Georgia game and much different from any other game prior to that. We got past that obstacle. Missouri, another road game. You go on the road on an SEC team, you play at home against the SEC team, you go back on the road against the SEC team. That's completely different situations over the last 3 weeks. That's been my focus more over what I've seen over the last couple of weeks. How are we going to respond? Something different is going to happen every game. Phil was just saying a few minutes ago, I didn't see the game, but I saw the highlights. That first drive, you start getting you still get those jitters 6 games down the road. You're like, I don't want this offense to start going backwards, start retreating, start retracting any progress that we've had thus far. And I don't think that's going to be a thing. The offense still just as potent as they've been in as many weeks. It just sometimes takes them a little while to get going. Ty still playing at a very high level, no turnovers yesterday, except for the fumble that he lost. But defense, making plays when necessary. You got an interception to end the game. A lot of big plays. I think Keon Keeley got some play yesterday. And so, that's something that we're looking forward to in the future. But the same thing, quarterback play is the most consistent part of it. We talked last week. I said, I would be interested to see how we show up for the run defense after having a pretty troubling day against Georgia in the run defense, and we came out a little bit better. Still some troubling calls, on 4th down defensively, where Kane Womack went for a blitz, gave up a big game. But then on the other side of it, you got Ryan Grubbs, Kalen DeBoer, and you get Ty Simpson, and you get players that, Coach DeBoer really likes, and you see what happens. That chemistry and that click from the offense is really good right now. But like you said, and that's been my reoccurring thing for the last 2 weeks, it's 24-hour rule, so we're already on to Tennessee. That says nothing about, any takeaway. I never try to take away from any other team, especially with Missouri. I still feel like they played well. They played well enough to stay within three points of us. And so I think they'll have a pretty good season going forward. But we were their first real test all season. We talked about it last week. They hadn't played anybody. And so if you can play a home game like that and win by 3 points or lose by 3 points to Alabama, who's still the standard in college football, still the standard in the SEC, I can only see it getting better for them. I think that's one of those tricky teams that I think we talked about the schedule, but they're going to beat somebody that is probably contending to be in the SEC championship, maybe a Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
So, if they have a matchup, I can see them definitely upsetting them. But I mean, another solid game overall from the Crimson Tide. Another win in the win column, 5 straight now. Looking to take all this momentum now, and a Heisman race that's continuing to build, and a resume that's continuing to build. We just talked about it, now up to number 6. Hopefully, we can catapult our way once a couple more dominoes in the top 5 fall, and then from there, I mean, I told you before in the preseason, this is a national championship caliber team. And so hopefully we can get there, but it's week by week. And right now, I think as a fan, I like taking it week by week because we're looking at a
That
different
1-0
team.
mindset.
Yeah, we're looking at a different team every week, but it's the same resilient team, same skilled team. So I'm very, very happy about where we are right
You gonna take off, or you want me to?
I'll go. From week 6 to week 1, this is a completely different team. Defensively, starting up front, LT Overton, Kiwi, and Pierre. They've had, I want to say, 2 or 3 games where they've came out, played lights out football. You got the John Lee. Had a pick yesterday, could have had 2 picks. You had Hubbard, who had a pick. Keon Sabb flying to the ball. Defensively, seems like they're improving every week. Even though those first drives, the opposing offenses kind of go down there with ease, but then after that, they make the adjustment. So that shows that the defense has made major improvements since week 1. Offensively, the fact that Bernard wasn't really in the game plan and Ryan wasn't in the game plan, and we still put up 24 points, that's very scary because we utilized Horton and Brooks as well as Miller and Ryan for most of the game. So the fact that our 2 big time receivers weren't involved and we still put up 24, what if they were involved? The game may have not even been close. As far as the tie, I like the fact that he faced some adversity, getting sacked, lose a fumble. He comes right back out there as if nothing happens and goes out there and makes plays. Also, OC Ryan Grubb, it seems like with 4th down, he has a package specifically for 4th down. I mean, it seems like every time Bama goes for it, whether it's 4th and a mile or 4th and inches,
Seems to be
he
the
has
exact
the
play.
he has he has the play for 4th down.
Yep.
So the fact that you have an OC along with a quarterback like Ty Simpson, that's gonna be hard to stop. Just overall with the offense, I'm not gonna say it was a game because Missouri, they do have one of the best defenses in the SEC, and the fact that you went out there early in the morning and still came out on top without performing, at your best, that says a lot about the offense. Overall, as a team, the fact that they faced the adversity on the road, that shows that they've matured a lot. Going into Tennessee, defensively, they really got to focus because, Heupel, he likes to spread them out, throw the seam ball, throw it deep, throw it across the middle.
So he can run it. He definitely gonna be looking to run the ball. The way he see it.
But also this year with playing Tennessee, I want to see how we match up offensively now that we have a quarterback who can actually spin it.
Yeah.
Instead of just throwing it deep and trying to run. I really want to see how our offense is going to look versus the ball. But other than that, with the Missouri game, I like the fight. Every game's not going to be a blowout or an easy win. So I like the fact that we went on the road again, won a hard fought battle, and came out on top.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on something that you kind of glossed over, and we always talk about on this how like all of us play receiver, and I did it's a stat that doesn't stick. It sticks out to people for the wrong reason, but to me, it stuck out for a different reason. Ryan Williams, like you said, a big part of our game plan. No catches yesterday, and I talked a couple weeks ago about his development through drops, and so now I want to talk about his development through going out there, as we call it, having a wheel full of game, getting some cardio out there, and the reason I say that that's important for somebody like Ryan Williams is Ryan Williams has been the number one person on his team for years before he even got to Alabama. He was a 5-star recruit. In his sophomore year at Saraland, he was already the number one guy. His junior year, he was the number one guy. He reclassifies. He comes out early. We know what we heard all last year. He's 19 years old. At 19 years old, 17 years old. 17 years old, Ryan Williams was our number one guy last year. Now at 18, I don't feel like he's any more mature than he was last year. But as far as a football player, this is a good maturity year for him, because every once in a while you have to go out there and run routes as hard as you can, make the plays simulate to look like you're getting the ball, and you have to keep your mind in a game like that for that full 60 minutes, because your effort is contagious and just as important as everybody else's. And I mean, I know how we would feel. We like we said, we played a position. We've been out there for 4 plays in a row and ran a route and knew we was butt naked open and didn't get the ball, and we know what kind of route we had on the next play. And so it's important for him. But I think that's another lessonful game. I hope that he can take something away from the film that he watches, just him running routes and blocking. What effort is for a full 60 minutes without touching the ball. So I didn't want that point to be glossed over.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let me start this back from the top. All right, first drive for Missouri. Okay, so this is a team that showed up to Tuscaloosa last year from little old Columbia, Missouri, that put up no points. So the talk lean up into that week. Hey, we got to start fast. We got to start fast. We got to start fast. We got to get on the board. We got to get on the board. So that first drive, I wasn't really in a total shock because that was nothing but pure hype and adrenaline. My only thing was, can you have your way like that the whole game? And they really didn't. Now, in the heart of the game, the middle of the game, however you want to call it, Alabama made some pivotal stops as far as the defense goes. Like, they couldn't really get off in the run game like they wanted to. And I guess it's a night and day difference between their offense last year versus this year, because, they had Luther Burden and Brady Cook throwing it all across the yard. This year, they were more run heavy this year because they know their quarterback, they don't have the quarterback that they had in the years past. So that's the reason why their whole philosophy of their offense changed. And as far as our offense, I do like the fact that they score first for our offense, because Ryan Grubb can go out there and do none of that, none of that foolishness and try to get cute. It was a nice methodical drive for our response drive, and then the defense, they go out there and get a stop. And then for the second touchdown drive, like what we mixed up there, I know, like, the run game is just, it's not it, but it's still something that you still want to have. Like, I only average 2.8 yards a carry as a team, but basically 3 yards a carry. So, but it's just, sometimes you just got to take that, and I guess the whole thing is with us is just like, we just try to keep running up the middle and hope we finally get a gas and get a big chunk run. But sometimes we just got to take what we can get. And then, like, in some scenarios, like, just stay in front of the chains. Like, we don't have to, like, put ourselves at jeopardy getting behind the chains. So if we only getting 3 yards a carry, let us get 3 yards a carry, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, make it easier for Ty on these third downs, which he's proved that he can, no matter the down the distance, he's going to make the necessary plays. I do want to say, I feel like Missouri really didn't have no momentum in this game until that stop. They got the turnover coming out of the second half, and that kind of gave them new life. Because I feel if Alabama even goes 3 and out, we punt the ball to them. I don't think they go down the field and put up any points, touchdown nor field goal. But the fact that they pretty much already had 80 to 90% of the field chopped down for them, to where you get the ball right here, you better get in the end zone, or this is a busted drive. So that's pretty much expected. So outside of that, like I don't really think like their offense really didn't do nothing too crazy. And then like that the last touchdown they scored, which really messed up the money for a lot of bettors because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people chomping at the bit to see that Alabama -3. Like y'all think, so and Kane messed up with that one because he, does his signature cover zero blitz, leave the middle wide open, and they made a play. So yeah, but outside of those like three things, for real, like I predicted Alabama could win this game 31-10. And once again, we left some plays on the field offensively as well. It very well could have been that score, like the situation where we had when we handed it to Jam, but Todd Knee was down, like stuff like that, man. Like it takes stuff like that sometimes to like really like it wasn't even no penalty. I felt like, and a lot of people felt like that. Hey, just give it to Proctor again at the 1 yard line and let him fall for it for a touchdown right there. In that situation, you did it. You put him in the backfield and let him run and get the first down. You might as well just let him finish the drive off.
Almost,
Like, who gonna
almost
stop
do it
this?
too.
Who
Almost
gonna
tush
stop this
push with them.
370? Who gonna stop this 370-pound man from getting into the end zone that close? And like Ty Simpson, you look at the numbers, like the box score don't show that he had, a great game, 200 yards. Back to back, 23 for 31. That's like 70%, 71%, somewhere around there completion. The plays that he made were necessary. Those are Heisman winning plays, like the 4th and 7, hit Brooks, perfect throw. The touchdown to Horton, perfect. Had to be perfect, especially in the red zone. So it's just like, it's stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, the numbers ain't going to pop out at you when you see them, but when you turn on the tape and watch the execution of what he's doing, that is what you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is a Heisman winning type of quarterback or a Heisman favorite type of quarterback. Now, back to the defense, still got to get this, giving up over 100 yards of rushing. I mean, majority, like quarterback had like 60 yards himself because he had like 2 big runs. I know you mentioned Sabb. Sabb had a free shot at the quarterback. He just reached his arms out at him and didn't even like that's Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. That's that's murder right there. So stuff like that will eliminate stuff like that. But yeah, man, we just moving on along. This team is doing what they supposed to do. They winning games. Never apologize for winning these games, man. Like these are still tough games, especially like everybody's still looking at, Florida State is Florida State right now and what they own, but everybody's still saying like, hey, we got a shot. We got a shot. They can do it. Why can't we do it? Why can't we be the next team to do it? So that's the way these teams are coming out with their mindset. And they're like, especially like in Missouri, like I said in my opening statement, they got shut out last year. So they're already playing like, we gonna put up some points this year. So they already came, like I said, they had to come out firing hot. They couldn't afford another slow start. This was gonna be another long day for them again. But we took the crowd out of the game for the most part up until like that last little bit. And I said to myself, this game, like the late part of the game, it really just reminded me of shades of the South Carolina game last year. Coming off that Vandy game, then we going into this game. It's kind of like we don't know what we gonna get. Okay, cool. South Carolina put up a good fight, couple plays here and there, but Alabama in total pulled it off. Pretty much what they did again this year. So, like I said, I mean, I was telling Dre earlier, like I wanted to just get past this week anyway, no matter how it happened, because now my favorite week is here. It's Tennessee hate week, and then we're gonna get into that obviously. But yeah, like I wasn't even on a 24-hour rule. I was more on a 3-hour rule.
The game.
I ain't even like usually I go back and watch highlights of the game and see. I ain't even went and watch no highlights of the Bama Missouri game because this is the week that I wanted because a lot of people need to see, and obviously they've been seeing like you said, fan with this Tennessee. There's a difference now, quarterback. So it's just like, and then the fact that we can sustain long drives and keep Tennessee's offense off the field, and the way they ended their game yesterday with up by 2 touchdowns and only ended up winning by 3. So stuff like, it's like pay attention to stuff like that. And we're gonna keep it SEC, and we're gonna talk about a team that's started 3-0, but usually they do this. They're reeling 5-12 in the last 17 home games. One of the great venues in college football when it's rocking, when it's on and popping. The Auburn Tigers. And we all know the play of the night. Jackson Arnold did get that touchdown, but it got called a fumble. But what are we thinking? Both Auburn and Georgia, like what are we thinking? I don't know if you guys got a chance to get bits and pieces of that game or go back and check out some game highlights. But what did y'all see? I know what I saw, but what did y'all see in that game that stood out to y'all?
Far as Georgia is very vulnerable. This is not the Georgia
Vanilla.
of old. And the fact that Auburn, not saying that Auburn is a slouch, but Auburn don't really have a quarterback. And if Auburn had somewhat of a quarterback, they could have easily ran away. That's pretty much all I got with it. I checked out the highlight, but yeah, if Auburn had a quarterback, they could have very well whooped Georgia bad,
Very
in
bad.
my opinion. Just
Yeah.
looking at the highlights and how everything.
Yeah. I'm gonna piggyback off that. I mean, I didn't really watch it either. I do know what the stats, what history, what the past couple weeks has said. In the past couple weeks, it said that the reason that Auburn isn't winning or even being competitive in football games is because of Jackson Arnold. And I think that's going to continue to be a problem. I think what's going to end up happening is when we take our visit down at the end of November, that's not
the
who's
best quarterback in the nation.
I don't even think that's going to be the quarterback that's starting. And that's even more troubling for us when we get to that spot. But that's another conversation for another day. I didn't see. I've been hearing about the play, but I haven't seen it. You know, they got a review session or a station up in Birmingham. So, you know, I don't really know how much better officiating can be or bad, whatever. But yes, what Fan really is trying to say is that Georgia looks like Alabama 2 years ago after Bryce left. When that last little bit of non-NIL players, like really, you know, like these real NIL players start coming in and you see how the separation of power really is, like that's how Georgia finally looks. You know, you and I talked about it a couple weeks ago. Georgia not being able to get any rush against us, which was troubling for us a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it was because you could recruit at the highest level to these defensive linemen, but now these defensive linemen are spread all across the country. Money talk, money problems, money conversations, you know, so now it just makes sense, you know, that Georgia's running into the same problems. They can't really get the athletes that they're looking for. And I mean, it's not like Georgia's an easy place to recruit to anyway. They're in Athens.
Yes.
There's nothing around it. There's nothing fun about it. You're literally just coming there for football. And I mean,
I mean, you got that little short trip to Atlanta, but you can only get so much out of that.
because at that point, you might as well just go to Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, Georgia's in a very vulnerable spot. Being able to sneak out of the Plains with a victory is a tough job. Doing it by 3 points is a tough win. But nonetheless, and I mean it could very well be the same way for us. We could go out there in a couple weeks and go 24-21 again. I mean, we just won by 3 points, but again, that's no knock to Missouri or Alabama. That's just how the SEC plays out.
And then that particular game in that venue, we already know
what's going on.
Expect the unexpected to happen. We know to expect the expected. Alabama versus Auburn. It's like they live for that. So it's
and they kept the energy going through halftime with Cam's his jersey retirement. They kept the energy going through halftime, so it kind of helped Auburn a little bit longer, but that quarterback play didn't. So that's all that matters.
So
really.
it's just they got stifled, and you know we know how Georgia is with the adjustments in the second half. See, the thing about it though, yeah, Alabama didn't score points, but Alabama was still able to sustain drives. Like they could have got a field goal coming out the half versus Georgia, but nonetheless, they pushed the ball downfield, killed some clock. So Auburn couldn't do that, and then Auburn was already they fell behind. So it's just like in Auburn's offense with no quarterback, it's hard to get back in the game when you're trailing by 7 to 10 points. It's hard. It's hard to do that. So, yeah, man. So it's just, I don't know, man. You can't even blame the offensive line this week because it looked like they was holding up pretty well. So, but that play, it just seemed like, I know you said they kept it up, but you can still see like that play just took some out of them, took a little spark out of them. They tried to hold it together, but still, there's only so much you can do in that situation, especially like with this quarterback. And it's going to be a lot of frustrated playmaker. We talked about how you talked about with Ryan Williams, just still, keeping your head in the game. But it's a different feel when you getting the ball, or the ball coming your way, and it's either going to be underthrown or underthrown. Like you don't even have a chance to make the play on it.
You
That's
gotta
a
go through
whole
too
different.
much to
That's
make
a
the
whole
play.
different. Yeah, that too. That's a whole different thing versus not even getting the look because you running your route, but hey, somebody else over here open. There's somebody right there open. Or they taking this away, so we got to check it down. Versus when you're actually open and the ball can't even like I said, you don't even have a chance to make a play on the ball. But I know you saw like Auburn need a quarterback. Georgia needs an updated offensive system. Kirby is still under the mindset of the defense. He's a head coach at Georgia, but his tendencies are still defensive coordinator at Alabama. Like he saw the offenses that we had when he was there. You know what I'm saying? The pre-Lane Kiffin, before Lane Kiffin, he saw the offense, ground and pound, you know what I'm saying, lean on the run game, and then we just going to send the defense out here to get after your quarterback and take your run game out and make y'all one-dimensional. He's still on that. Like, you got Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Branch has like 10 touches, but he didn't have a 100-yard receiver. You can't have a receiver like that that's that explosive and only eclipse like 50, 60 yards in a game. You know what I'm saying? So
You got Young too. Kobe Young,
so
number 8.
yeah, so you got guys like that. Oscar Delp, I guess, the baby version of Brock Bowers, but stuff like you got these types of players. Your run game gonna be there. We already know that's what y'all gonna do, but still, like y'all still need a offensive system to where y'all can get some guys because we don't really know outside of like you said, like we said about Branch and those the other guy, like we don't really know who's like receivers for Georgia. We got what's my guy 86. I can't remember his name. Oh, Dylan Bell.
Yeah,
He's
man.
solid. It's just like it's not no. They haven't had a core like a Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jerry Judy type of core because you know why? Nobody wants to play with the quarterbacks they have. And you had that quarterback in Justin Fields. We're going back to the past, but you chose Jake Fromm over him. So there's that. So yeah, Georgia needs to revamp the offensive system. Defense is fine, but like we talked about, the NIL situation. But NIL can help you get players like Zachariah Branch as well. So because he came from USC, so there's that pass happy offense to go down here and to this SEC style of ball and still stick in SEC. What we about to get into. I'm gonna we're gonna let him go on his spiel. Red River rivalry. Texas takes down Oklahoma. Mr. Penn in his thumb tried to come back 17 days post surgery and play in a football game. Dak Prescott had that same injury. He missed like 5 or 6 weeks. So this you can't on your throwing hand. You can't rush this. But Finn, take off. We're gonna let you have it. So go on do your victory dance. Talk your talk. You called it. Texas is back.
I am saying all that, but like I said last week, Texas is gonna win because Oklahoma finally ran into a defense. Now, with that, John Mateer, I felt that they rushed him to play, and I think he did more harm than help playing. But in reality, who knows that they probably didn't trust the backup. Red River Rivalry, if my starter can play, he's at 75, 80%, I gotta play him because my backup, we really don't trust him. So I think from that aspect, even though he did play, he has three interceptions
He threw
that game.
three picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just offensively, they couldn't get anything going, and that's what I was stressing last week. Even though Texas has been struggling, they still got a defense. Arch, they did just enough to win, and then also the other component to that was special teams.
What did I tell you though? The defense was gonna help Arch look, put him in good spots. I said that last week as well. I said they was gonna put him in good spots to where he, like you said, don't have to do as much. They got an interception. They got a punt return for a touchdown. So yeah, but keep going.
Yeah. So there's all in all, Oklahoma finally ran into somebody. that actually got some defense and it showed what they gonna do. Now, if Mateer was healthy, do I think the outcome would have been different? No. That's just my opinion.
The game would have. I feel like the game would have been closer. It would have been more of a. Yeah.
At the
Compared
end
to.
of the day, when he was throwing it, there's a difference between hurt and injury. He was hurt,
Yeah.
which means he still can go out there and play. I
But
don't
like
think
I
it's gonna
said,
be the
well, you
difference.
can't play like I mentioned. I referenced Dak,
Yeah,
and
well, you
when
can't
Dak
grip
had
and throw
that
that
injury,
ball.
he led the league in interceptions. Granted, a lot of them passes was tipped, like the receiver, it hit receivers in the hands, and they could have caught it and came down with it. So them interceptions is kind of halfway inflated, but still,
Well,
it's like
guess
Dre said,
what?
the grip on the football.
Well, guess what? Even though he got that injury, they're not gonna put no asterisk in the stat book saying that he was
Nope.
injured. So if you go out there, you expect it to perform. It's unfortunate, but hey, he shouldn't have played him though.
I think Oklahoma as a whole did themselves a disservice. Like I said, you don't rush this type of injury back. If like I said, Dak was gone for, and ain't no telling what's the timetable. Maybe he came back too fast when he missed 6 weeks. He got hurt the opening night back in 2022, and didn't come back until like I think the Detroit game. So, and like I said, that was I think that was like 5 weeks. So he missed 5 weeks. This guy tried to come back less than 3
2 weeks.
weeks, 17 days to be exact. So yeah, no, you're not gonna do that. And you could tell with some of the play calling, yeah, they still wanted to do their stuff, but you could tell why you think a lot of these passes was quick game passes and not nothing long developing, because it's still, we don't want him to stand back in his pocket and take too many hits to that thumb. Now when he take out and break the pocket, it's fair game on quarterback run plays and stuff like that, or scrambles, it's fair game then. But like as far as when it comes to the pass plays, like we didn't see no 7 steps. Maybe saw 3 to 5s at the most, but we ain't see no 7-step drops, no long developing plays for him. And yeah, so Texas used that to their advantage as well. And then, like I said, Texas put Arch in good situations because, like I said, his numbers really didn't pop out as well, but they put him in good situations to where, like, hey, just manage this game for us because we know how big this game is. And now they went back to back versus Oklahoma for the first time since 08, 09. Dre, if you want to get in on this, you can before we move on to the next.
Good.
All
I
right,
ain't even
I
watch
know
it.
you went on your victory dance, and I'm gonna go on. Now we're gonna step up. We're gonna go out to the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Indiana. And I want to start off. I'm gonna give Kirk Cinetti his props. I know we came in our first episode talking about, this guy pumping his chest out, talking about he want to play like an SEC schedule. Like you had that one run you had last year, but you really didn't play anybody. And then when you finally played somebody, Ohio State, in the regular season, got your teeth kicked in. Then you go on the first round of the playoffs against Notre Dame, you get mollywopped. So your two biggest games that year, it wasn't close. Now you go on the road, West Coast. You know what I'm saying? You take on the Oregon Ducks, who got, well, that Penn State victory kind of means nothing now, I guess. But at the time, they got the Penn State win. Then they riding high. I think they were on a bye last week. I don't even think they played. So, but they take this Oregon team down. Dante Moore was looking very pedestrian through 2 picks. So I want to give Kirk Cinetti his props for having this team ready to play on the road in that environment. And now they're sitting at number 3 in the country. And they're going to be, I don't know their remaining schedule. If anybody can put their remaining schedule, I know Penn State's on that
They
schedule.
got
And
they got Michigan State, UCLA, at Maryland, at Penn State. They got their last home game with Wisconsin, then the last game at Purdue.
so are we
Very
seeing a
winnable.
12-0? 12-0?
For Indiana,
Yeah.
I
um,
can
you never want to lead the horse before the carriage, but I mean,
Yeah.
I say prospectively, I don't see anything stopping that result. That's the biggest thing. That this is they're in a shoot yourself in the foot situation. Honestly, that's the only thing. That's the only thing that can happen here. I mean,
I
you got
think,
over your biggest hurdle. You hung in there yesterday,
yeah,
and you got to win.
you got the win on the road. On the road. This is
Yeah,
probably, it's like, I think I talked to myself, it's like, I want to say like 3 to 4 or 5 impressive wins. Alabama, Georgia, this one. I can't think of the other ones that I had thought about as far as like going on the road as an underdog, because I think they were underdog by like 7.5 maybe. So yeah. So like I said, props to Kirk Cincinnati for having his team ready, but can you, like I said, your schedule is very favorable the rest of the way, but can you keep this team focused enough to where there is no slippage, to where they can turn into the Ole Miss of the SEC? They lose a game or two that, hey man, you're supposed to win this game. Like, what are you doing? So can they keep that up and keep this team focused? Because it seems like they're not really gonna have on paper a big test as far as but the game still got to get played out, and we see it's any given Saturday in college football. So, but can he keep this team focused after a big emotional win like that? That will be left. Like I said, that'll be left up the week by week basis if they go out here and handle their business like they should, or even if they have a team that offers a little resistance towards them and they can finish it out. Like I said, never apologize for winning none of these games. These games, these teams are going to show up ready to play. And now y'all putting the bullseye on y'all back. Y'all probably going to be the number 2 team in the Big Ten behind Ohio State. So there's that. So yeah, like I said, props to Kirk Cincinnati, man. Talked about it, saying, hey, look, check my track record. Everywhere I've been, I've won. That's also true. So hey, man, props to him. But we're gonna be watching. I best believe I will be watching.
They actually got a number 1 over Ohio State. Big team.
As far as conference.
They got
conference standings.
Yeah.
How many conference games have they played?
Both them and Ohio State.
They played the same.
They play the same one.
They probably got the they probably got the tiebreaker because of their average margin of victory. They beat Illinois 63-10, and Ohio State only 34-16. So that probably plays into it. But we all know like the number 1 team in the Big Ten is Ohio State as far as like we can pay attention to the standings. Yeah, so but yeah, like the standings gonna say that, but like come on now, we all know who the overwhelming favorite is. And on the flip side, what do we see Oregon go from this? Oregon, that's not, it's a loss, as they like to say in the playoff world. It's a good loss. So, but what is Oregon's trajectory like from here? Like the bounce back. What is the bounce back going to be like?
They went out.
This is, yeah, I'm gonna say it's the same as the Florida State loss for us. It's the same as the Bama loss for Georgia. LSU just lost to who? Ole Miss. Was that right?
LSU lost to Ole Miss. Yes.
Miss.
Quality wins. Yeah, quality wins. They don't have anything left on their schedule worth talking about. I mean, they do. They got a game against USC and on the road at Washington at the end of the day. I mean, in the season, but they got Rutgers, coming up after this. Rutgers and Wisconsin, who we play Wisconsin, so we know that's so. And then they go and play Iowa in 3 weeks after that. So
tricky one right there. That's a tricky
one. And they get a bye. They get a bye before that. So by the time they play these next 2 games and get a reset, I think you go back in, you focus up for 4 more games to end the season. And just like Indiana, you got some teams. I've seen the Barstool guy. He's been kind of trolling about it.
Dave Portnoy.
You do got some really decent teams over there in the Big 12. Big 10, honestly. That part is no lie. Do I think they're just the 3 best teams in the country? No. But they are pretty good. They will have a pretty tight race to see who gets into the conference championship game, probably like the SEC will too. But quality win from Indiana, quality loss from Oregon. Again, another one of those gut punches for a team like that, of that caliber, that gets high hype. You need a gut punch like that, especially we got ours at the beginning of the season. Hey, you can't lose anymore. They get one in the middle of the season. Hey, you can't lose anymore. And, because any other loss that they take right now, it's a bad loss after
especially
this.
With these teams that they got. There's no...
there's not a lot of margin of error for them. But I mean, Oregon's fine. They're not like Clemson. They're not like Penn State. They're not like Florida State. That's 3 teams that we said weeks ago, like fraud alert. But Oregon, they're not frauds. They ran into a team that was ready to play yesterday.
That's all that was. And like I said, they came in, ain't no telling, like I said, fresh out that emotional win versus Penn State, which kind of is just like, yeah, they were ranked at the time, but now it's just like, yeah. And I think we can close out with that, with the news of the day. James Franklin finally out as Penn State head coach. I think that Northwestern, I think he was, I know the seat was probably some nice little heat to it, but then you go out here and lose to Northwestern, the nerds. It's like, yeah, you lost Drew Allar for the rest of the year, an NFL type quarterback. Want to send my well wishes in regards to him on his road to recovery, but the writing was on the wall after the Penn State game. So not the Penn State game, the UCLA game. So even that Oregon game, you can sit here and say, because like we can't win these big games. Like we beat the middle of the road teams. We might even be the team that's like in the top 25, but it's not the guys that we need to be beating. Yeah, we it's not the guys that we're supposed to be beating. Ohio State's no Michigan, so what does Penn State to do? What is Penn State to do? Like who they got to get on the phone?
Mm-hmm.
That buyout.
I have no
$50
clue.
million.
I don't know, man. That's a good closeout question, because this is one of the weeks where I really don't know. I mean, we talk about big names, but I mean, is somebody coming back down out of the pro ranks to come coach Penn State?
I highly doubt that.
Who would want him?
And it's just a tough spot to be in, man. Like now you got even if you take this job, you got the same mantra on you that the previous coach had on him. This school can't overcome a big game and win a big game. I mean,
That school has a lot of pride.
Yeah,
exactly.
And we haven't seen anything, successful since Saquon walked out the door. So, I mean, it's just a tough spot to be in for Penn State. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see who they go get as their next head coach.
They just can't bring in anybody, nope. And so it's just one of them. Yeah, man. So it's tough, man.
I go after Matt Patricia.
You gonna say Nick Saban?
State. Matt Patricia.
I like that.
I'll go after him. You're gonna have a defense.
That's an NFL. That's an NFL. That's an NFL kind of. That's an NFL caliber coach, though. That's an NFL caliber coach.
He at Ohio State right now. I go after him
right now.
You're gonna have a defense with him.
Yeah, and I know we called it. I know they got Indiana coming up. I know we said. I thought they at least bounce back versus Northwestern, but I know they still had like Indiana and Iowa. I know I was like the Iowa game. Like anybody that got Iowa on their schedule, it's gonna be kind of tricky because we know how Iowa plays defense. It's just that the offense can't put up enough fight. Yeah.
You play at that stadium, but that and Jordan Hare.
You talking about Penn State Stadium?
Iowa,
get loud
Iowa State and Jordan Hare.
Yeah. They get loud, but yeah, Penn State. Hey, sheesh. Hard fall from grace. I mean, y'all never really was there. Like we expanded to 12 teams as far as the playoff format, to help you get in there, and then you didn't help yourself with your first 3 games because you scheduled like they don't have a Power 4 win. Not that we speak of, they don't have a Power 4 win. Texas just got their first Power 4 win. Stuff, and now they're back in the top 25. So, but it's just some like sheesh. 1 minute you're one of the favorites to reach the championship game. The next minute you're firing your coach, and now we trying to figure out what's next. And we know what's next for us. We're moving on to week 8. Third Saturday, October coming up. I hate Orange Week. I haven't really checked the other slate of games. I want to say, is Georgia and Ole Miss a game that's happening this week as well?
Mm-hmm. Not even sure.
What did we get? We got Ohio State. No, we just.
That was last weekend. This is this past weekend. Excuse me.
Week 8.
Okay, here we go. Alabama, Tennessee. LSU, Vanderbilt.
That's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah, Ole Miss, Georgia. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like playoff contenders. Yeah, as far as playoff contenders, and then this time we got the 6:30 kickoff under the lights, so that's gonna be big. Thank you.
Well, don't nobody
Oklahoma,
really,
South Carolina coming off that what's it called game? So
don't nobody really care
Red
about it,
River game.
but USC and Notre Dame, two ranked teams.
Notre Dame kind of fighting for their playoff lives. They're number 13 in the country, so I guess they're trying to sneak them guys back in. So yeah, that is one to pay attention to because Notre Dame is another team back against the wall, lose another game. You're out of there. You definitely out of there with 3 losses. I want to interest you guys in this. What group of 5 team? We got South Florida, we got Memphis. I think they're the only 2, but which one of those teams do you think can make the playoffs? Memphis is undefeated at the moment, 5-0. South Florida has 2 ranked wins. They beat Florida and they beat Boise State in consecutive weeks, but they got thrashed by Miami, to expect it. But which group of 5 team can we see getting that final spot?
South Florida.
South Florida.
They'll have more quality wins than that. Because I'm looking
They're
at
both in the
Memphis,
same conference.
but South Florida beat.
Do they play each other?
Yeah, they play each other. No, I'm lying. Yeah, they do. It's on the, I want to say it's the 20th. They play each other on the 25th.
Oh, so next Saturday.
Next
So
Saturday.
that is pretty much an elimination game. South Florida with 1 loss lose that game, then it's pretty much a wrap for them.
Yeah,
Memphis, even if they lose the game, they still got to take it. So it's pretty much okay. That's pretty much an elimination game. So that game, I won't be surprised wherever that game's at. I won't be surprised if game day picks that up. I highly doubt it.
It's in Memphis.
The magnitude of that game could attract College game day because hey, look, this is a team. These 2 teams are fighting to get that final spot. So hey, here we go. But on that note, I thank y'all for tuning in. You want to shout out to ASU? Did ASU play yesterday or?
They did.
Yeah. Shout out to
short.
Bama State. Even though they came up short, I didn't get a chance to watch it. They said it was one of the most electrifying and interesting games since 2011 or 12. And I think it came down to the last play of the game. So even though they came up short, shout out to them. Right now, they have to beat they pretty much have to win out and hope that Jackson loses the game to have a shot to go to the SWAC championship. But yeah,
there's that. Okay,
they way better than last year.
That's what's up. I do this traveling shit. And on that note, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Elephant in the Room podcast. Dre Davis, Finn Fenderson, and Anthony Likes. We are out and roll tide.